Sanctuary, oremus Deus, Deus, Sanctus Spiritus, Spatio Christi. Damus in Spiritu Sancti, et Deus and Prosperus in Deo, per Christum Dominum nostrum. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Pray for us.
Saint Thomas Aquinas,
Pray for us.
Saint Vincent,
Pray for us.
Begin to read for you a conference given by Archbishop Lefebvre to priests in Ecole in the autumn of 1990, a few months before he died in the spring of 1991. It's a little like, I think it's a little like his last will and testament. He is pointing the way forward for his priests. 2 years after the consecrations, we must not waver, we may not compromise. Archbishop Lefebvre's address to his priests at Ecole, Switzerland, September 6, 1990, transcribed and slightly adapted from the French. Concerning the future, I would like to say a few words on questions which the laity may ask you, questions which I often get asked by people who do not know too much about what is happening in the society, such as, quote, are relations with Rome broken off? Is it all over? Unquote. I received a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, yet another telephone call from Cardinal Oddi. He was a relatively good guy back then. Quote, well, Excellency, is there no way to arrange things? No way? I replied, you must change. You must come back to tradition. It's not just a question of liturgy, it's a question of the faith, unquote. The Cardinal protested, oh, no, it's not a question of faith, no. These Romans, they pretend that there's not a problem with the faith. They pretend that it's something other. The Pope is ready and willing to receive you, just a little gesture on your part, a little request for forgiveness, everything will be settled, unquote. That's the Cardinal speaking. As though it's a minor little personal problem. They don't get it. They don't understand that there's a war to the death between the religion of God and the religion of man. One is God-centered and the other is man-centered. This is the modern world, going over to the world, and that's going straight up to God. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. They don't want to admit that they've got a problem with the faith. They don't want to admit that there's been a change in the faith. That's just like Cardinal Oddi says, the Archbishop. But he's going nowhere. He understands nothing or wants to understand nothing. These characters aren't as stupid as they give out. They don't want to understand. Unfortunately, the same holds true for our 4 more or less traditional cardinals. At that moment, Palazzini, Stickler, Gagnon, and Oddi. They have no weight, no influence in Rome. They've lost all influence. All they are good for any longer is performing ordination to St. Peter's Society. They are going nowhere, he says. Of course, that's realism. The good guys in Rome are powerless and weightless, and it's the same thing today. I remember Father Schmidt getting all delighted about a certain Ranjit, Bishop Ranjit, and he was made in a few years, and Bishop Ranjit was from Ceylon, Sri Lanka. He really was understanding a lot of things, so when he's been around a little, he gets shipped back to Ceylon, made a cardinal and shipped back to Ceylon. So there's a good guy in Father Schmidt put his hopes. With reason, because he was a good guy, and he was understanding what the whole thing was about. Out. Rome is in the hands of the Freemasons. The Freemasons have taken a couple of 100 years to infiltrate the Vatican and to control it. And they're not going to roll over and play dead. They've got control. But you're a conspiracy. Yes, I am a conspiracy theorist. I believe that there are bad guys who are organized in order to do down our Lord Jesus Christ. They exist. It's for real. It's not a fantasy. Oh, but you're a conspiracy nut. Yes, I am a conspiracy nut. Yes, you know I am. It's the way the world works. Who thinks that 7/7 was an inside job in London, July, a few years ago? Right, yes. Oh, very interesting on the internet. Somebody sent it to me. A possibility that there'll be another of these things at the Olympic Games in London. An atomic explosion. Either that's why they're setting up anti-aircraft batteries. Somebody has to know something. Or it may be in the underground. They may set up a big explanation in the underground. You remember V for Vendetta? These characters take delight in flashing sort of warning signals which nobody takes seriously. In fact, nobody notices. But before 9/11, there were several of these sort of big films and movies and things about crashing into the Twin Towers and so on. They send signals to their friends in a way that most people don't notice. There are signals of that kind going out about some explosion into the Olympic Games. So,
my Lord.
Yes.
Do you think that the 7/7 and also the riots in London last summer would be sort of like trial runs to see what would happen and how they could control it, or do you think I'm just being...
I don't know. It's very possible that the riots were organised. Very possible. But you have, it's very possible. And there's something, but there's a spark that's organised, but the heap of tinder waiting to get set alit is not organised. That is to say that these characters play on a weakness in a situation. And the weakness, they don't create the weakness, the weakness is there. They just work out how to exploit it.
Yeah, and to strike the match.
Yeah. So they strike the match, but the heap of tinder, it's the old-fashioned word, the heap of firewood, dry firewood. All of these people living a suburban life are very frustrated, especially the blacks. That's the way it is. But not only the blacks, for sure, but they will usually take part in something like that. That heap of discontented people, the conspiracy doesn't create. It simply exploits it. So if you've got a healthy society with nothing to exploit, there's not much the bad guys can do, or there's much less that they can do. Meanwhile, says the Archbishop, the problem remains grave, very, very grave. Yes. We absolutely must not minimize it, pretending it's just, a lightweight thing. This is how we must reply to the layfolk who ask such questions as, quote, when will the crisis come to an end? Are we getting anywhere? Isn't there a way of getting permission for our liturgy, for our sacraments? Unquote. Certainly the question of the liturgy and the sacraments is important, but it is not the most important. The most important question is the question of faith. This question is unresolved in Rome. The Archbishop kept on saying, he said again and again, whenever I'm talking with the Romans, I keep on raising the question of faith, the question of the council. They never want to discuss it, he said. The Archbishop said again and again and again. The bad guys in Rome never want to talk about the basic problem of faith caused by the council. They never want to talk about it. No? This question, for us it is resolved. We have the faith of all time. The faith of the Catholics of the Council of Trent, the Catholics of Pius X, hence the faith of the Church, of all the Church councils, of all the popes prior to Vatican II. Now the official Church is persevering, we might say pertinaciously, in the false ideas and grave errors of Vatican II. That much is clear. Father Tam, who was then a society priest, he's Italian, is sending us from Mexico a number of copies of a piece of work he's doing, most interesting work, because he is compiling cuttings from the Osservatore Romano. Hence, cuttings from Rome's official newspaper with the speeches of the Pope, of Cardinal Casaroli and Cardinal Ratzinger, official text of the Church and so on. It is interesting, because such documents of public record are irrefutable. It's not, a conversation or I heard, or a rumor, or this, it's absolutely an official text. Being published by the Osservatore Romano, so there is no doubting their authenticity. Well, these texts of Karl Ratzinger are astounding, quite astounding. I will quote you a few texts shortly. It is incredible. In the last few weeks, since I'm now unemployed, wink wink, I have been spending a little time rereading the book by Emmanuel Barbier on liberal Catholicism. That's Emmanuel Barbier is a French priest around the time of Pius X, around 1900. And it was a big volume, or it was a few volumes. It is striking to see how our fight now is exactly the same fight as was being fought then by the great Catholics of the 19th century in the wake of the French Revolution. French Revolution. Great Catholics following the line and helping the 19th century popes to fight liberals. Louis Veuillot, Cardinal Pie, Dom Béranger, certain heroes of the true faith in the 19th century up against liberalism. And Emmanuel Barbier is writing this book about the fight between the liberal Catholics trying to adapt Catholicism to the French Revolution and the genuine Catholics who say it won't mix, you can't mix it. And the Archbishop says that his fight at the time of the SSPX was exactly the same fight as 100, 200 years before, 150 years before, or 100, 150 years before. Exactly the same fight. It's that against that. It's waged by the great Catholics of the 19th century in the way, and by the popes, Pius VI, Pius VII, Pius VIII, Gregory XVI, Pius IX, Leo XIII, and so on, Pius X down to Pius XI. Their fight is summed up in the encyclical Quanta Cura with the syllabus of Pius IX and Pascendi Dominici Gregis of Pius X. How many of you have seen Pascendi with me? No, yeah. That's a crucial one. It's difficult, but it's crucial. These are the two great documents, the syllabus of Pascendi, sensational and shocking in their day, laying out the Church's teaching in face of the modern errors, the errors appearing in the course of the Revolution, especially in the Declaration of the Rights of Man, 1789, 1790, 1791. This is the fight we are in the middle of today. Exactly the same fight. What's going on inside the SSPX today is exactly the same fight. It's just, as Americans say, that's the way the cookie crumbles. There are those who are for the syllabus of Pascendi and there are those who are against. It's simple, it's clear. Those who are against Pascendian syllabus are adopting the principles of the French Revolution, the modern errors. Those who are for the syllabus of Pascendi remain within the true faith, within Catholic doctrine. Pius IX, Pius X. Now you know very well that Cardinal Ratzinger has said that as far as he is concerned, Vatican II is an anti-syllabus. In other words, Vatican II was against the great syllabus of Pius IX, which was amongst the 19th century popes. So you've got the syllabus and Pascendi. Pascendi of Pius X. Syllabus, Pascendi. Therewith, the Cardinal placed himself clearly against those who were against the syllabus. The syllabus is anti-liberal. Those who are against the syllabus are liberal. Those who are against are anti-liberals. If the Cardinal is against those who are against, the Cardinal is a liberal. The Cardinal is on the side of the liberals. If then he is against syllabus, the Cardinal is adopting the principles of the Revolution. Besides, the Cardinal is the Cardinal Ratzinger at that time. He goes on to say quite clearly, quote, "Indeed, we, Vatican II, have now absorbed into church teaching, and the church has opened herself up to principles which are not hers, liberty, equality, fraternity, French Revolution. So we of Vatican II have adopted the principles of the French Revolution. We've built them into the church. That's like building into an ice salesman the program of putting his wares out in the sunshine. I mean, he's not going to sell very much ice if he puts it all out in the sunshine, but he'll know before he can sell it. Ice and sunshine don't go together. The French Revolution and the Catholic Church don't go together. In other words, as everyone understands, the principle of 1789, the rights of man. We, says the Archbishop, stand where Cardinal P, Monsignor Freckle, Louis Beuillot stood, Deputy Keller in Alsace, Cardinal Mernier in Switzerland. They are all heroes of the anti-liberal fight, the fight here against liberals in Switzerland, France, and so on. They fought the good fight together with the great majority of the then bishops. So most of the Catholic bishops were on the side of the good guys at that time. What's unique about Vatican II is that then the bishops were on the side, these were on the good side of the good guys, but then the majority of bishops with Vatican II, they were on the side of the bad guys. It was a complete overthrow. At that time they had good fortune to have the large majority of the bishops on their side. Monsignor Dubarlou, a famous liberal, and the few bishops in France who followed Monsignor Dubarlou were the odd ones out. The few bishops in Germany, the few in Italy, who were openly opposed to the Synods, and in effect opposed to Pius IX, they were the exception rather than the rule. But obviously, there were the forces of the revolution, the heirs of the revolution, and there was the hand reached out by Dupont-Loup, Montalembert, Lamennais, and others, famous French liberal Catholics of the 19th century, who offered their hand to the revolution and who never wanted to invoke the rights of God against the rights of man. Quote, "We ask only for the rights of every man, the rights shared by everyone, shared by all men, shared by all religions, not the rights of God," said these liberals. We're not standing for the rights of God, we're only standing for the same rights of man as everybody else is standing for. It's sweetie pie, but it's not good enough. Catholics have got to stand for the rights of God. We must not waver. Well, we, says the Archbishop in 1990, we find ourselves in the same situation. We must not be under any illusions. Consequently, we are on the thick of a great fight. And since 1990 to 2012, that's another 22 years of the fight getting heavier and heavier. It's not getting easier. We are fighting a fight guaranteed by a whole line of popes, of good popes. Hence, we should have no hesitation or fear. In other words, why should we be going on our own? After all, why not join Rome? Why not join the Pope? Especially if the Pope says he wants us to do such for him. The Pope is nice and we're nice and everybody's nice and we'll all have a nice party together and everything will be nice in the garden. Why not? Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, Mr. Wolf, what nice big teeth you have. All the better to gobble you up with, my dear. Rome is crammed with Freemasons. They're wolves. These Romans of today they're wolves just as much as ever. They hate the church. They hate our Lord. Why not join Rome? Why not join the Pope? Yes, if Rome and the Pope were in line with tradition. If Rome was back in line, no problem at all. But Rome is way out of line. If they were carrying on the work of the great popes of the 19th and the first half of the 20th century, of course. But they themselves admit that they've set out on a new path. They themselves admit that a new era began with Vatican II. You better believe it. The whole church swung off track. The great mass of the church swung off track. They admit that it's a new stage in the church's life. You'd better believe it. Based on new principles, you'd better believe it. We don't need to argue the point. They say it themselves. It's clear. I think that we must drive this point home with our people in such a way that they realize that they are, if they stay online, they're in line with the whole history of the church. Going well back beyond the revolution, of course. It's the fight of the city of Satan against the city of God, clearly. So we don't have to worry. We must, after all, trust in the grace of God. He will ask himself the question, another question of the laity asks, well, how is it all going to end? I mean, the Archbishop says, look, I don't know. He says, I don't know. Even the Archbishop didn't know the answer to that question. I don't know. But, it's God's problem. It's not our problem. What's he doing? Well, it's his church. What's he going to do with his church? I don't know. I'm not God. But I do know that here and now, this is the line we have to stay in. That line is what we have to stay in. We cannot go dancing through the tulips. You cannot go tiptoeing through the tulips. Who remembers tiptoeing through the tulips? Tiptoe through the tulips, That's going back a little. The music man remembers, pegs his age. What is, quote, here it is, yes, we must all trust in the blessed book. Quote, what is going to happen? How is it all going to end? That is God's secret, says the Archbishop. Mystery. But that we must fight the ideas presently fashionably around, coming from the Pope's own mouth, Cardinal Ratzinger's mouth, Cardinal Casaroli's mouth, Cardinal Williamson, those like them. It's clear, because all they do is repeat the opposite of what the popes have said and solemnly stated for 150 years, from before Vatican II down to the French Revolution on to just before Vatican II. We must choose, as I said to Pope Paul VI, quote, we have to choose between you and the Council on the one side and all your predecessors on the other side. The one is a straight line and the other is bent all out of shape. Either with your predecessors who stated the Church's teaching, or with the novelties of Vatican II, unquote. Reply of Paul VI, get a load of this. This is not the moment to get into theology. We are not getting into theology now, unquote. They're shutting down. These liberals do not think. They don't want to get into doctrine. They don't want to, study the real questions. It's just feeling. Hence, we must not waver for one moment. And we must not waver for one moment either, and this is an interesting section, in not being with those who are in the process of betraying us. Some people are always admiring the grass in the neighbour's field. Instead of looking to their friends, to the Church's defenders, to those fighting on the battlefield, they look to our enemies on the other side. After all, we must be charitable. We must be kind. We must not be divisive. After all, St. Peter's and the Institute of Christ the King and the Institute of the Good Shepherd, they are celebrating the Tridentine Mass. They're not as bad as everyone says, because they've got the Tridentine Mass. They are betraying us, says the Archbishop. Yes. Institute of Christ the King, which was in existence, Institute of the Good Shepherd, St. Peter's, they are betraying us. For goodness sake, don't flirt with people who've abandoned the fight. They're not our real friends. They are shaking hands with the Church's destroyers. These people are shaking hands with the destroyers of the Church. What about all the SSPXs currently going down to Rome? And I'll bet you every time they meet the Pope or the Cardinal, whoever it is, they're shaking hands with them. They're shaking hands with the Church's destroyers. Stop and think. It makes sense. They are shaking hands with people that hold modernist. What the Archbishop is saying makes sense. Not shaking hands with the enemy makes sense. No. They are shaking hands with people holding modernist and liberal ideas condemned by the Church. And so St. Peter's, the Institute of Christ, and so on. God knows their intentions, I don't have to judge. But objectively they're doing the devil's work. Because they've compromised, they're agents of compromise. And you can't lovey-dovey with agents of compromise. You may like them personally, but the faith is on the line. The faith is at stake. Thus, those who were with us and were working with us for the rights of our Lord, for the salvation of souls, are now saying, so long as they grant us the old Mass, we can shake hands with Rome, no problem. But we're seeing how it works out, they're in an impossible situation. Impossible. And that's true today for the shepherds, Institute of Good Shepherds, St. Peter's. They're trying to defend tradition when their bosses are telling them you can't defend tradition. They're in a rock and a hard place. And the Archbishop never wanted to get into that situation. And he refused to get into that situation. And now these leaders of the SSPX are wanting to get into that situation. It doesn't make sense. They've lost the plot, as they say in America. Opinion. Okay. Listen to the other side, make up your own minds. But give them, if you like, stay in touch with them to bring them back, to convert them back to tradition. Yes, if you like. That's the right kind of ecumenism. But give the impression that after all, one almost regrets any break, that one likes talking to them. No way. These are people who call us corpse-like traditionalists. They are living, they're getting with Rome, they're with the times, they're acceptable, they're drinkable, they're okay. We are, we're retrograde, we're fixist, we're backwards. They condescend to shake hands with us, but they don't deserve it, says the Archbishop. They say, ours is not a living tradition. We are glum-faced. Ours is a glum tradition. Unbelievable. Unimaginable. What kind of relations can you have with people like that? With these softies who compromised, who are proud of having put themselves under Rome, but who, since they put themselves under Rome, are no longer capable of defending tradition, of attacking Vatican II, for instance. That's the key point. Oh, it's all right if you preach spirituality. If you say that God is good and God is nice, and we must all behave ourselves, no problem. But if you say that the Second Vatican II was a bunch of doo-doo, then you've got a problem. Then, of course, the Romans, they come down. It's all right if you but if you start getting like a man and attacking hearers, then they come out, all guns blazing. This is what causes a problem with certain layfolk, who are very nice, very good people, all for the society, who accepted the consecrations, but who have a kind of deep down regret they're no longer with the people they used to be with, people who did not accept the consecrations, who are now against us. It's a pity we're divided, they say. Why not meet up with them? Let's go and have a drink together. Let's reach out a hand to them. Hey! Archbishop's comment, that's a betrayal. Those saying this give the impression that the drop of a hat they would cross over and join those who left us. You've got to make up your mind, Mrs. the Archbishop. You've got to choose. It's one or the other. That is what killed Christendom in all of Europe. Not just the Church in France, but the Church in Germany, in Switzerland. That is what enabled the revolution to get established. Catholics being soft on the revolutionaries. Catholics going out of their way to please the revolutionaries. The revolutionaries used that in order to advance the revolution. It was the liberals, it was those who reached out a hand to people who did not share their Catholic principles. We've got to make up our minds if we too want to collaborate in the destruction of the Church and in the ruin of the social kingship of Christ the King, or are we resolved to continue working for the kingship of our Lord Jesus Christ? All those who wish to join us and work with us, Deo gratias, we welcome them wherever they come from. That's not a problem. But let them come with us. Let them not say that they're going a different way in order to keep company with the liberals that left us and in order to work with them. Not possible. It's logical. It's absolutely logical. That doesn't mean to say, obviously, treat the compromisers like dirt. No. Obviously not. But it does say you don't behave with them as though they're still the friends that they once were, as though there's no danger in mixing with them, as though they're just as good as they were before. No. Catholics right down the 19th century, were torn apart, literally torn apart over the syllabus. For, against. And you remember in particular what happened to the Count of Chambord. He was criticized for not accepting to be made King of France after the 1870 revolution in France on the grounds of changing the French flag. In 1870, the French lost the Franco-Prussian War. The loss was a very sobering experience for the French, and there was a movement back to saner ideas, away from liberalism, back towards monarchy, back towards the Church. That's when they built the great Basilica of the Sacred Heart in Montmartre. That great white dome, you may remember, on the Paris skyline. That basilica was built as an act of reparation after the French got a really bloody nose from the Germans in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870. Then the French offered the lawful heir to the French throne, they offered him back the throne. But the Freemasons made sure that there'd be conditions attached. They'd have to take the nationalist Masonic flag. He said no. It was not much a question of flag. Rather, he refused to submit to the principles of the revolution, because the bad guys succeeded in having the offer of the throne back to the lawful monarch so dressed up that he'd have to make a compromise in order to take the throne back. He said, no compromise. I'd rather not be king than a compromised king. And the Archbishop said he was quite right. You can't fool around with principles. He said, I shall never consent to being the lawful king of the revolution. He was right. He would have been voted in by the country, voted in by the French Parliament, but on condition that he accept to be a parliamentary king and so accept the principles of the revolution. He said, no. The Count of Chambord said, if I am to be king, I shall be king like my ancestors were before the revolution. Unquote. He was right. One has to choose. He chose to stay with the Pope and with the pre-revolutionary principles. He refused to compromise. We too, says the Archbishop, have chosen to be counter-revolutionary, to stay with the syllabus, to be against the modern errors, to stay with Catholic truth, to defend Catholic truth. We are right. Not because we agree, not because we are the SSPX. Look at what the SSPX is now doing. The SSPX is perfectly capable of going crazy. It's not because we're the SSPX that we're right. We're right because we're in line with the church of 20 centuries. That's why we're right. In that straight line. And we're not wanting to swing over to the left. The next paragraph is extremely precious, extremely important. It'll be for tomorrow. Let's repair to the what was it called?
The Pope.